Alright guys, before I get started, I want to test my noise gate, because apparently one of my streams, every second word was cut off. Not good. Yeah, so it's not good right now. Okay, maybe that's better. Alright, I'm just gonna have to test this for a second. Make sure it's all good. Alright, it sounds okay. Now, before I get into this stream, I want to address some... Oh crap, my voice is still going. Okay, I want to address a comment that one of you guys left, and a sentiment that I've seen. Now, I understand that I didn't stream for like a year, and now it seems like I'm just doing the same thing again. Well, I am doing the same thing again, right? However, I wasn't just doing nothing. I have this game, which is going to have a live playtest in the next couple of days, and I'm going to walk through a little bit of this game now, so you can see that I am actually doing stuff. I'm going to finish this game. It's going to be on, on Steam. And you can actually play it right now on itch. Should have got that up first. But here it is. All right, runs in the browser. Also runs on the computer. I'll just turn off the sound effects. Okay, so here it is. It's a programming puzzle game. And you get these emails from people. Actually, this version is a little bit out of date now. But essentially you get these emails, and then you go into this screen here where you can solve programming puzzles. So it's kind of like, TIS 100 or other games like that. I don't think it will be as well received, but I hope I can do well. Anyway, point is, solve these puzzles. Sort of teaches you how to play. This one is already filled out for you. You get some stats. You can continue, get more emails, etc. And let me actually show you the version on computer. I think it's better. I just need to make a new thing here. So if I go into lane 4 and I run the debug build, where is it? What is it called? Game debug. Okay. So it's made in Odin with Raylib. Oh, I'm going to turn the music and sound effects off again. All right, so this is the first puzzle. And as you can see, it's a bit different. He actually gives you 7 puzzles. These are like the onboarding ones. And then there's just a test email down here to make sure that works. But you can sort of work through these. I'm just going to cheat if I can. Yeah. There is a button to fill out the puzzles with, not the most optimal solutions, but yeah. So some solutions. Is it lagging a bit? Feels like it's lagging a bit. I just installed new NVIDIA drivers. Also, I've got DaVinci Resolve open. Maybe I should close that. I don't know what that's doing. Hey, Vicious Bite, how you doing? Yeah, I'm not doing the no stdlib programming right now. I'm just addressing a concern that some people had, that I was going in circles and not making any progress on game. So this is the game that I'm making. And as you can see, it does work. I'm just going to go through these real quick so I can get up to the next part. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. And you can do, things that you would expect, like highlight text, copy and paste it, etc. And there we go. So now we get like a job. So this is the first actual real job in the game from this dude, M. Turner. He sends you jobs, and you get sort of like lore, I guess narrative bits sort of in these emails a little bit, like, oh, this is the East City Freight Division. What is that? And then, this puzzle starts partially filled, and it just says like compute next index, so we can just solve that. And I know I'm spoiling the game a little bit here. There we go. This is the last one I'll do. And then you get like little emails like this guy. Okay, he's saying like something's a mess since the last refit. Trains are backed up everywhere. East City's diverting loads to west sectors. The city lights are flickering again. You want to grab a drink later? Like, so you get sort of insight into the world from these little emails, and then you get more jobs, and it just goes on like that, right? So right now there's, I think there's 18 puzzles in the demo, which is going to be out in a couple of days. And there's going to be about 50, I think, in the full game. And I guess the thing to note here, actually, about this game is it's a single program, multiple data programming game. So there's 4 cores, but you only have one program, which means every core as a step is actually running the same code here. So you can see all of them pull data from these ports into their R1. That was the first instruction here, into the R1 register. Then if we play next step, they all stored into this address, which was 0. So in R0 was 0. And there's this mechanic in the game called collision operations. Because all 4 cores stored at the same address, they actually did a summation. And the way that the CPU works is it does integer overflow. And so all of these numbers added up probably 3 times, I guess, or 2 times or 3 times over to get to 124. So 123 plus 148 is more than 256, I think. Yep. And then these ones are more than 256, so it overflowed a couple of times, but we got 124. And then we load the values back in to whatever's in CID. From whatever's in CID. So in this case, the address would be 0, the address would be 1, the memory address, and then memory address 2, memory address 3, and they all had zeros in them, so we just loaded 0 back into here. Then we push that, and it's going to be wrong. So I got the wrong answer here. And you can actually just keep submitting the wrong answer until you get to the end of the numbers, and then it would say incorrect output. I just found it was better than instead of it was wrong once and then you can't do anything. Oh yeah, there's a lot of debug output here. So yeah, that's the game at the moment. I'll walk you through a little bit of the code, and then we're going to get into the C programming. So this one's written in Odin, and here it is. I'll just maximize this window. Is it all visible? Yeah, it looks good. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. It's about almost 7,000 lines of code. For this game, it's using raylib, so that's why it's actually not that much code, because raylib's handling the rendering and stuff. Here we've got just the palette for the game, so there's just a few colors, just some animation constants and stuff, whatever. The game state is just like one big struct. You've got, is your game running, what's the frame time, etc. The font. This is the editor state, so the source that you're currently typing into the game. And then this is instruction lines is used to report errors. So when you type, I didn't actually show that, but when you type incorrect commands, it'll actually tell you, hey, this is wrong, and it'll tell you why, as much as it can figure it out. Then we've got the puzzle state. There's a bit here that characters are like the in-game characters, as in the NPCs, the people who are sending you emails. Then the emails themselves, we just have the source here and the emails as well. The reason this is all stored here is because we actually load it in at compile time to the binary. So it's all in one binary. At the moment, the game's, I think it's about 7 megabytes, but that's because of the music. If I remove the music, it's just over 1 megabyte. I want to get it down to less than 1 megabyte for launch, if that's possible, and also change the music to be synthesized either on the fly or at runtime to get under that 1 megabyte goal. But if I don't get there, that's fine. It'll still be like less than 10 probably. Anyway, game states here. Don't really need to go into all of this. We've got a really simple code base here, right? So scene type, there's a main menu, which I don't have in the game right now because we don't need it. Select is where you select from the emails. Load is if you already have one or more solutions, you can actually choose a different one to load. And puzzle was the main screen we were looking at. The run state is for the virtual machine. Failure reason stuff. Measure text is for the UI library, which is probably the biggest single thing. Actually, maybe the VM is. I actually wrote a UI library here for this game called, it's just called Fui. I don't have a name for it yet. It's sort of like Clay, the C layout library, in that it's a layout engine more than a UI library. But its style is sort of more like Ryan Flurry's immediate mode UI style. It's based on a library I wrote a few years ago called ISQ, which I never actually released. I think it's on my GitHub, but I never released it, so people don't know about it, and I don't know if it even works. It was for a game as well. This one I'm planning on releasing eventually. So I've got this box here. It's this is a tree structure, so each box has a parent, a child, which will be the leftmost on the tree, I guess. And then next and previous are the siblings. So if you've got like a row of elements and you choose the one in the middle, it's going to have a pointer, well, not a pointer, a handle for the one on the left, or one on the left and one on the right, however you want to think about it. And then floating is a special subtree for like making modals and stuff. And then text, config, etc. I don't know how much I want to go through this really, but you basically configure these boxes with these flags, and so you can set like fit to fit the content, fit the box around its content, and then by default it will grow into whatever it's inside of. I think I want to change that to be the other way around. Fixed is just for like fixed elements. So if you want to display in my case, a pixel art image, then you just use a fixed size for that. So those little portraits that were in the game. Scrolling containers, floating containers, and then this is like centering stuff. Yeah, so config is what you pass in when you call it. So if we go to some UI here, the UI code is ugly. I tried to make it nice, but it's still ugly. Like, it just seems to be that's just how it is. So here you can see we're making a column. We pass in the configuration here. So there's a gap, there's some padding, and then there's like a second parameter here, which is a procedure. And then everything inside this procedure is going to be inside this column. Right, the problem with doing this is Odin doesn't allow you to view the variables that are in the upper scope. So for example, if I had like x is 42, I can't see x in here anymore. So I can't say like y is x because x doesn't exist in this procedure scope here. So to alleviate that problem, I made a helper, well, just another version here. So row box and col box, and these sort of, they're like, they don't take a second argument or a second parameter for the insides. Instead, they push to the stack their ID, and then you have to manually pop. So you have to pop them at the end here. So I've got like probably 2 pop statements down here somewhere. Here they are. So these two correspond to, I think, these ones. Now you can sort of understand that this gets pretty hard to follow. So I prefer not to use this style, or if I do use this style, then I wrap it with these like unnecessary braces a lot of the time. Sometimes I didn't because I don't know why. But then that's what this is for. It's just to keep it so you can easily see what's happening. But then things get really nested sometimes. Like if I go down to, or somewhere down here, it's already pretty nested. You can see it's getting like pretty deep down here. A lot of nesting in this UI code. So the UI code takes up 1700 lines, thereabouts. It's a lot of the game. The update code is pretty straightforward here. It's got this janky event system that I don't know if I'll ever use again, but I'll show it to you anyway. Actually, you don't really need to see this. I'm going to show you the usage. So at the beginning of the update, we clear all the events. What does this do, actually? I don't even know what event update does. Oh, it calls the callbacks. Okay. So this does the, it goes through the listeners and then calls the callback functions. And then we actually clear all of the listeners every update. And then we add the listeners again in the update. So all my event code is just like sitting here. Probably wouldn't do it this way again, but it doesn't really matter. It's just for delayed execution of things. Like sometimes you don't want things to happen immediately. You want them to happen next frame, especially things to do with changing scenes or updating UI, etc. If you do it in the middle of the frame, you can like totally mess up the UI and you can see it glitching out. So you just want to make sure that happens at the beginning of the next frame or at the end of the current frame, whatever. Yeah, here we've just got like, and there's some simple input stuff. Updating the time. Hello, how you doing, Ankara? This is just, checking if the source code changed, loading the program and compiling it, and then etc. Also, there's auto saving every time you make a change. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can now. Some animation stuff here. It's like really simple, just updating floats. Here's the start of the UI code. So this is what you call at the beginning of the frame. Pass in all of this state that the UI library needs. Call some other functions here. Now, here is my switch for the current scene. So as you can see, the menu doesn't do anything except forward it to the next next one. Hey, how you doing? C99 Game From Scratch does sound fun. Yeah, it does. I am going to get to that in a second. I just I got some comments about people saying that they're going crazy because they see YouTubers like going in circles and not producing anything. So I just wanted to show what I've been producing. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is just like UI code basically. Not really anything interesting here. Yeah, the drawing code is actually really simple because all of the game is just the UI library. So if you've used Clay, this is probably going to look very familiar. There is a switch over these draw commands, and then you just draw an image, a rectangle, a border, scissoring mode, which is like scissoring is where you can cut out a section of the frame buffer, and then anything you draw has got to be inside that, or will be inside that. So you can't draw outside of the bounds. That's how you can do scrolling containers and stuff. And then text, and then this is just like the current version of the game, 0.32 down the bottom right. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Most interesting thing after that, maybe we're just loading all of the data directly into the binary. And then storing that in these variables here. These are all the emails that you get in order. Loading and storing all of the audio files right now as well. These are definitely the biggest things in the game at the moment. And that's pretty much it for the initialization. And then we get on to like, I don't know if you guys want to see the VM. It's not that interesting, but I'm saying that because I just spent time building it, so maybe it is interesting. I don't know. So we got a virtual machine. It's got 4 cores. It's got its own ISA, instruction set architecture. Actually, if I open the game again, I press F1, you can see. Oops, let me turn off the music. Yeah. You can see here it's got all of the instructions. So there's not that many. So we've got, your load and store, pretty simple. Move. I really wish move was called copy, but I don't want to change it to copy because then people might get confused. Because it's called move in most assembly languages, right? But it does copy. Anyway, add sub mul div. Originally I didn't have mul div I didn't have div or mod, and then I added them later just for convenience. Because I don't think I want to do too much about too many puzzles that are about reproducing assembly language stuff with a reduced instruction set, because this game is about single process multiple data programming, and that's not really the same domain. So I don't know how much bit fiddling stuff I want to do either. I mean, there is a bit of it, so that's why there's bitwise operations, but it's not like extensive. And then comparisons, there's just one register that will be set to 1 or 0 depending on the results of these. Now this is pull and push have nothing to do with the stack. They have to do with these ports where you're pulling and pushing data. So you pull data from the input port and you push it to the output port. The reason input's on the bottom and output's on the top is because I think the animation looks nicer. So if we go back actually to here, and we just go to like this one, and we just press play. You can see it kind of fills up, and it looks. I think it looks good. I tried having input on the top and output on the bottom, but then the output either has to be filled bottom to top, so you got to read the list backwards, or some variation of that problem. I think this is the best compromise. Anyway, then we've got your standard jump, jump if true, jump if not true, halt and continue, and no op. So halt will actually turn off the core. I haven't actually used that in any of the puzzle designs yet, so I might remove it. Continue will loop the execution back from the beginning. So since both of these cores are running the same code, you can imagine that sometimes you might split them into different loops or something, and then you might want to continue back from the top in one of them. Yeah, it's useful. Instead of having to write like a branch up here that's like A, and then somewhere here like jump up to A, you don't really want to have to do that. We can just try continue here instead. So that's sort of the idea behind that. I'll see if I can get this to break. There we go. So this is unknown instruction. If I type like pull R0, R1, go to the next line, it's going to say expected 1 operand. So it does give you some errors. And you can also click, but there's no like Vim bindings or anything. I just didn't think that would be necessary. Yeah. All right, I think that's enough for that. I don't know how long I've been talking about this, but yeah, just thought I would show that. Oh, I didn't actually show the VM. Well, I think the most interesting thing about the VM is probably the collision operations, but that's more of a game design thing. If you've never built a virtual machine before, this is actually a really simple one. It's an 8-bit virtual machine. It's quite simple. So basically we've got a step procedure here. So every time we run an instruction, it's going to get the next instruction in the list of instructions. It's going to switch on what kind of instruction it is, and then it's just going to do whatever that instruction, would require. Yeah, pretty straightforward, I think. All right, I think that's enough of that. So, what have I got here? Yeah, right. So this thing. Yesterday we did. I can't even remember exactly what we did yesterday. Something in here. We got a window running with DirectX 11. That's right. Okay. So if we run this, there we go. We've got a nice, lovely blue window. That blue is definitely too bright, I think. Yeah. In any case, lovely blue window. And we were going to do... What were we going to do next? I forgot. Went on a tangent for too long there. So... Give me a second. Well, maybe I can do this in real time. So I'm thinking, usually in a project like this, we'd have like, okay, make the window, and then make the context, and then we'd want to draw something, triangles, or whatever, and then we'd want to make triangles move around if we're building like a little mini game or something. So handle input. Then we might want to draw other triangles. So, an entity system or something like that. Yeah, we can do that, I suppose. Why not? All right, so in order to do all of these, there's going to be hidden requisites. Like, for the entity system, we're going to need memory management. We might need strings if the entities have names. To make triangles move around, we're going to need we're going to need memory. Everything's going to need memory management. So why don't we do that first? I forgot to save the code from that stream because I deleted the whole Arch Linux installation. So what I'm going to do is, instead of writing exactly the same arena code again, even though it's fun, I am just going to grab maybe an old one that I have here. Let me just have a look, see if it's suitable. All right, so I'm going to copy this file. I'm on the other screen. I'm going to copy this file. I'm going to open code mem.c. I'm going to paste this in here. I'm just going to have a look at it first. All right, so what have we got? We've got a line forward, which is definitely different to the one that I did yesterday. This is the one that I copied from Ginger Bill. That's fine. So there's an assert that we don't have. I don't have this type U pointer. There's an arena here. Memory is zeroed on arena clear. Memory 0. Okay. There's an allocator interface. I don't think I want this. Arena clear is memory equal. All right. First 1 bit in a U64. I don't know what I was using that for, but anyway. Cool. I guess we can just infer the type from this, or I could just open the header file from the other one. Okay, so I'm going to put the header file at the top here. Here it is. Just going to remove these 4 declarations for now. Okay, so this has a pool. Don't need that. An arena that has a buffer of memory, a size, an offset, a previous offset. So it's not a growable arena. It's just a fixed size arena. And then there is an allocator interface, which I don't think I need. Default alignment, we can keep that, that's fine. These types, uPointer, B32, uSize, I'm going to change these. So uSize, I'm just going to change to U64. And uPointer, I'm also just going to change to U64. B32 is fine, I guess. Do we care about sized booleans? Maybe not. Just because I figure if you need to size something, you can use an unsigned int. But then I guess there is information in the B32. You're saying it's 32 bits and it's a boolean, which means you're only using one of the bits probably. I don't know. I'll think about it some more later. But okay, so I've got all these types that we don't have. There's an assert macro that I'm going to capitalize because I have a different, I don't know, different mindset about macros these days, where they should always be capitals. What else we got? Oh, I've got ligatures turned on. That's why I can see Haskell here. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. So I'm gonna have to make these types. So I'm gonna have type def, unsigned, long, U64, and then we can just do. I think unsigned int can be U32. I'm not worried about, you know, different platforms might treat ints differently and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm just compiling for 64-bit Windows 10 and 11 at the moment. And these types should work. Since we can't use the standard library, I can't just include stdint. Now, the age-old question, do we make these... what's the hotkey? Is it Alt-F? Yeah. No? Ugh. Do we make these signed, like with an S, or I for integer? I'm going to do signed this time. Okay, now we're going to need floats. But are they floats or are they reals? Because if you look at the Intel documentation for the CPUs, they call them real numbers. So they're R64 and R32. Or are they floats? This would be double. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. I might just call them F because I'm used to that. And I'm also used to int, so... I'll just match what Odin has, except the case is different. Should I match the case? These are the real questions, ladies and gentlemen. Whoops. I kind of like the convention that all types start with capitals, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be worse for my muscle memory. Because if I switch between Odin and C all the time, which I will be doing, it could be that having the capitals makes my muscle memory, like makes me understand, oh, you're in C, you're programming in C right now, so you got to type the capitals. And then I'll use, you know, I'll do things like put the type before the name automatically. What am I type defing? Oh yeah. So a bool, I guess, can just be an int. And then we can do define true is, no, true is 1, not 0. Alright, assert, we need that as well. So assert would be, we're defining assert x, so we're going to say if, wait, I'll just do it in braces. Okay, so if, I'll put that inside a parentheses to make sure it gets expanded. If not x, then debug. Oh yeah, I forgot to turn the sound off on my phone. 1 second. There we go. If not x, then debug trap. So I'm gonna have to make that in a second as well. Yeah, that's all we need to do, I think. So debug trap, I'm going to define it here as just debug break, which is the Microsoft compiler one. I think on Linux you would do ASM int3 like this, but I don't think that's valid on Windows. I have to look it up again, but I'm pretty sure this is the valid way to do it. So I'll just use that for now. Okay, so we've got the assert, but apparently, oh yeah, there we go. That's it. That should be working, hopefully. This is probably wrong. I might need to do like while 0 do whatever, blah. I'll check it later. So nil, I do like nil, but since we're in C, maybe I just use null and define that as 0. Hey, Nahua, how you doing? You're welcome. I didn't know if people would be interested in learning more about Fui. I'm planning on doing some more like proper videos about it later when it's battle tested. So the whole reason that it's in the game is so I can test it properly and stuff. Hey, what's wrong with this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Pointer cast was I think this is kind of a pointless macro that I had before, and it actually makes the code more confusing. So if you don't know what pointer cast does, then this code looks like a casting result to a void. But actually, it would be equivalent to this. So I'm going to remove that macro. I think, yeah. And I think I'm really used to this style. I mean, this is such a pedantic thing that I don't really care about it anymore, but you know, where does the asterisk go? Does it go with the name or does it go with the type? I'm actually thinking these days I'm going to put it with the type. And just because it's an arena pointer that's named A. And yeah, I used to always put it with the name because that's what I learned first, and I just kept it. It really doesn't matter, but as long as you're consistent with it, I guess. And now it's totally inconsistent everywhere. So I guess I'll just search for star and then W plus, and I will do one of these ones. I think this is going to break a few places in the code. All right. Like there, for example. What's wrong with this? Unknown type name, Aren. What? That didn't break that, did it? No. Whatever. Right, so allocator interface, I'm just going to remove that. But now, oh, this is the problem. So that purple, okay, that purple error up there, that was saying like, did you mean this one? But it's referring to this thing down here. Right. So memory 0 is another macro, I think. But it doesn't exist. Let me look at this code. It might be in the core. Yeah, it's a macro. It's a macro that calls memory set. And memory set is a macro that calls memcopy. And memcopy is a function. It's an intrinsic. So it's not the one from the standard library. I tried to replace it, I think, but the compiler didn't let me. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this as... I don't like the name memory 0. I'll just call it mem0. Is memory equal... I'm going to change that as well. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more diligent about the naming conventions here. Like, I guess a line forward, it's not really tied to any particular module. So I wouldn't put mem a line forward here because it's just operating on a pointer. Is power of 2, I think that's fine. But the one I just changed, which was mem is equal. Now I don't know. Because the convention was if it returns a boolean, you start with is, or if it is a boolean, is mem equal. But mem, oh god, I'm getting caught up in stupid pedantic stuff again. Anyway, first 1 bit, I don't know what this is for. I'm just going to delete that. Maybe I needed that for something I was doing. So here we go. We got a really simple arena. Probably not required. Yeah, it's not required. So we're going to have to get the memory from somewhere. We're going to use virtual alloc for that. Mem0 is not a thing. Hey Miles, how you doing? You didn't know I streamed as well? Well, that's because I didn't stream for like a year. So that makes sense. I've been very inconsistent with that. But I'm feeling good about 2026, you know? Feeling good about it. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was going to define memory 0 up here. So I'm just going to say mem0, and it takes, what does it take? A pointer and a size. Okay. And a size, that'll be U64. And then I'll just put a to-do here. So now this exists. So that's good. Now all these types shouldn't really be in this file. I'm going to worry about that later. I'm going to include mem up here. Now, what did I say we were going to do? I made this little checklist here. So I said we needed memory management. Now we have like a really rudimentary memory management. So we can do something. So we can draw something. We can draw triangles, make triangles move, but we should probably test the memory management system first. So let's see. What can I do? I can arena alloc. Oh, I haven't made an arena yet, so make an arena. Is there an init? No. I guess we can just set these using virtual alloc. So that's going to be 0. The size, let's just say 1 page. I can't remember the allocation type. It's going to be commit. I can't remember. I need to look up this function. Ah, mem commit. Well, it probably is. Mem commit, mem, there's another one. Which one is it? It's been a while since I've done this, as you can probably tell. Reserve, that's the one. So I need to go back up. How do I go up again? Is it P? Yes. And this will be protected, so it's going to be read. No. Read write. Where is it? Not file map. I thought it was read write something. Alright, I'll just look at the docs. Okay, here we go. Let's close that one. So we're doing a virtual alloc. Wonder if this search is going to work. Hey, does. So we did commit reserve, and we need. Ah, it's page. Yeah, okay. Read, write. There we go. All right. So now I can read and write to that memory. We've committed it and reserved it. The size is going to be 4096 as well. And that stuff's going to be 0. Have I ever worked as an embedded developer? No, I haven't. Although the game that I was just showing off that I'm making where you program a microcontroller made me kind of interested in embedded a bit more. Yeah, I don't think I'm employable anymore, unfortunately. You guys know how the software industry has been not very good. And I have 3 gaps of I think at least 2 years on each gap in my resume. So people don't like that. What was I doing? Okay, arena underscore something. Alloc. Yes. So we're going to allocate. Have I ever thought about doing it? I have thought about doing it, actually, a few times. So if I end up failing as a game developer, then I might give it a try if anyone will let me. Void. Yeah, so I'll just get back mem or like a buffer, whatever. I guess technically I should cast it, but no, I don't need to do that because it's not C++ mode. Wrong folder. What the? I think I got a build script, right? Yeah. Okay, so there's a macro redefinition of null. That's fine. No, you have similar gaps, Miles. Don't think we're unemployable completely. You can always start from junior again. From employer's perspective, they'll be getting actual experience dev for cheap. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think from their perspective, it might be more about longevity of employment. You know, they might be like, oh, is this guy just going to leave, you know, after a year and a half because he wants to go do his own thing again? Which, I mean, honestly, I probably would, unless the job is really good. So, yeah. I don't mind taking a salary hit. Ooh. I mean, the web dev front-end gravy train is over. And I'm kind of glad because I worked in web dev front-end because it made me lots of money. But yeah, That's not really an option anymore. Or probably. What am I doing? Getting totally sidetracked. You're full stack for 5.5 years. That's impressive. Do I think it's actually over though? I think it's over for some people, but I think AI is mostly hype for programming right now. And the reason I say that is because I spent 2025 using Claude Code, ChatGPT, Grok, and I even tried like DeepSeek and whatever else to program. I tried tons of different strategies. I tried, reducing context windows. I tried using MCP, and I tried uploading, different files, and I tried all the things that you're supposed to do, right? But at the end of the day, you can ask any of these LLMs, or at least I did a couple of months ago. I gave them a really simple problem in 3D game programming. And it was basically like, okay, you got a flat plane, and we're looking at the camera along the z-axis. We're looking at the plane from the z-axis, so it's like a line, right? So we've got this flat plane on the ground. We want to rotate it so that the plane is up, and you can see the face from our perspective. We're looking straight along the z-axis, right? Which axis do you rotate? And both ChatGPT, I can't talk, and Claude, they both said you rotate it around the y-axis, which is the vertical axis. I did specify that as well. So at the end of the day, they are idiot machines, as in the actual definition of idiot. They don't have consciousness. They don't know what's happening. They're not just token predicting. They're doing some other stuff, obviously, because they can do some logic, or it seems like they can. I will say it seems like they can do some logical tasks, but they just fall down really quickly when you start doing anything that's, I guess, not in their training data as much. So you probably won't have as much game programming in the training data because it's not open source. Whereas pretty much all web stuff is open source or built on open source libraries. So it's all in the training data. Whereas game development, not so much. Yeah, anyway, my experience has been that I felt like I was going crazy because all these people were saying it's amazing, and yet it just caused me more problems, I think, using it than if I didn't use it. There's more about this that I want to go into later. Like, I could feel myself becoming reliant on it, not in the sense that I couldn't do things without it, but in the sense that I was addicted to it, right? So I would be doing something, and then I would come across, oh, I got this problem. And when you have a problem, it causes discomfort. You feel uncomfortable, and you have to push through the discomfort and the unknown to solve the problem. That's part of what problem solving is. It's sort of expanding your mind, figuring stuff out, but it's uncomfortable. And so when I got that feeling of discomfort, I would reach for the LLM. I found myself reaching for the LLM first before trying to think. And after, a couple of months of noticing this, I was like, okay, this is bad. I think I'm going to make myself retarded if I keep using these tools. So I canceled my subscriptions in November and decided that I'm going to take a break. And that's turned into I'm just going to take a break for this whole year from LLMs. I'm not going to use them except for maybe like asking it a fact-based question, maybe not a fact-based question, like using it like Google kind of, like, if I'm running Linux, does OBS support Pipewire or something like that, but not problem solving. And so I felt that I was getting dumber using them. And so that was also a big demotivator for me to continue because I don't want to be stupid. Yeah, exactly. Miles says, didn't even want to start using them, it'll train you to use their prompt instead of training your own skills. That's exactly right. And also, this is the second channel, says true, they can one-shot web front end, but game dev not so much. Yeah, although if you go on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, you'll see a lot of people posting like slop. Slop is the word of 2025, isn't it? Slop games that it like Claude Code one-shotted or whatever, and it's got like multiplayer and etc. And didn't send your previous message. Oh, that's annoying. But they'll be hyping it up as if it's like the best thing ever, but it's just really not. And the other thing which I was going to mention is not just for my own sense of, you know, maintaining some kind of semblance of skill and etc. for my own personal growth. The other thing is the output is actually really not just verbose, but I guess verbose is the right word. For example, I told you I tried to use it almost every day, right? So for that UI library, I did use Claude Code for one part of it, which was, actually I can just show you. It now has no AI code in it at all. I just removed all of it because of what I'm about to talk about. And that's for this whole game. This whole game has no UI code. But if you look at this function here, it's called end. Okay, so here. So at the end of the draw call, you're going to produce these draw commands from all the immediate mode functions that you called. And you're going to have to compute the layout, right? So basically all of this compute stuff, originally I got, I don't know if it was ChatGPT or Claude, but one of them to write about 75% of it, right? And the code that it produced sort of worked. I had to like, you always have to like keep wrangling it essentially. And then eventually it got to something that seemed correct. But then I needed to add like, I think I needed to add scrolling containers and I needed to add like floating containers and some other features that weren't in the library. And so I was like, okay, now I need to add this and this and this, right? And then it produced like, I think it was like 1,000 lines of code to do this. And I rewrote it. I think like this whole library now is 1,300 lines. So I remember rewriting it and the code was about 40% the size. There's something wrong with the code they're producing. They're producing way too much code to fulfill the requirements of the logic. So that's another thing. Okay, this is the second channel says, here's the thing about those slop games. Most of them are unplayable. And if it's good, I think most of them are straight up lying just to get clicks and market cursor and whatnot. Yeah, a lot of them are pretty unplayable. I think it's people who, I don't know if they just don't play games or something. Maybe they just don't play video games, but they think, oh, because I can get the AI to write this slop video game, then therefore this game looks good. I mean, it is impressive in a certain sense, but they don't produce anything that I would consider to be high quality. Right? So they're basically producing shovelware with an AI and getting excited about that. Which, yeah, I mean, it's exciting, kind of. Who knows? We'll see where it goes, right? Haven't played any of them, seen others play them. And Nahua says, those people are just looking for attention. It's really that, if it's really that good, the game will be on top of Steam. Yeah, I mean, true. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to discourage people from getting into programming or whatever, but I don't think that vibe coding is the way to do that. That's for people who just seem to hate programming, which is fine. You don't have to like it. It's kind of like, you know, it'd be weird if you were an artist and you hated drawing, or you know, if you were a painter and you hated painting. It doesn't make sense, right? So if you're a programmer and you hate programming, I don't know what you're doing. Okay, so we've got a buffer here. What were we even doing? Making triangles. Well, maybe I'll make triangles in a second. I want to test that this works. I'm going to allocate another 100 bytes. And I'm just going to build this and then run it. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder again. All right, so let's go down here. All right, so we got buffer 2. No, that's okay. You can distract me. I mean, this is just for fun, right? These streams are just for fun. So I'm not too concerned about like efficiency. If I want to be efficient programming, I wouldn't do it on stream. Okay, so buffer is here. So wait, 16, 32, 64, 80, 96. It did align on a boundary. Is that right? Did I miscount that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's fine. You were asking about embedded software because you're thinking of going into it. Web dev sucks. Game dev is awesome, but the industry sucks. And India is a complete gamble. Yeah. Yeah. Can't really disagree with any of those points. Embedded seems to be unaffected by AI for the most part. And you get to learn more stuff. Yeah, I like the idea of embedded a lot. Although I have heard that, you know, in my mind, when you're doing like embedded software, it's like, oh, we're going to use C or some low level language. We're going to have direct access to the chip and do like cool stuff with pointers and reading and writing memory and signals and whatever. But I've heard that people are running like Node.js on Raspberry Pis for their embedded software projects, and that's kind of depressing. So I'd try to avoid those places, I guess, if I was going to go into it. Okay, so this seems to be working. Yeah, they are. And Docker. You got to have it inside a Docker container as well. What am I doing? Okay, that's all good. I think. Actually, I'm just gonna do something quick here. So I is less than 100. There's a 10-second delay between chat and showing up on stream. Yeah, I think there's just a delay always. So when I talk as well, there's like a 10-second delay if I were to unmute the audio. What did I just do? Buffer I equals 42 or Oh, right. Yeah, I can't do that. Okay, I'm just going to take this So this is just a warning. I didn't know macro redefinitions were just warnings. I probably should have known that. All right, let's have a look. Yeah, nice. That's what I expected. Cool. I forgot that I actually have the chat on the screen, so I probably don't need to read out your name in message every time. I'm not used to that. Although it's probably good for audio listeners. I don't know who will be listening to this, but thank you if you're listening. I don't need these anymore. So, you know, we got a simple arena allocator. That's fine. Maybe we figure out how to draw a triangle now. So do we want to use that bonus, even simpler 2D thing? So what does this do? Arbitrarily place triangle vertices with absolute pixel coordinate positioning. Let's think. What is this project going to be later? Or does that matter? Probably doesn't matter. All we really need to get up and running is a vertex buffer and a rasterizer. So let's see, can I zoom in here? Here we go. So I've got a frame buffer. We don't have a shader at the moment, or a rasterizer. Arbitrary limit of vertices. And if I understand this correctly, these are like absolute pixel position coordinates. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. So, yeah, let's do it. Okay, can I make this... What are the options here? Yeah, like that. Now this is too big. Now it's so small that I can't read it. You are listening in alt-tab book and other stuff most of the time. Well, thank you very much. Alright, so let's have a look. I don't think I called it frame buffer in this one. I called it like back buffer. That's fine. And viewport, clear color. Okay, we can probably do it here. Setup, shader. So, hey there. Do I use Windows API directly? I think the answer is yes. If you mean, do I use like Windows.h, DirectX.h, etc., and the Win32 API? Yeah. Although I haven't set up the compiler to work without standard library yet, which is sort of a tangent. Oh no. I've got so many inconsistencies in this code right now. That's all right. So CSO is a shader object. Barrier to entry for Win32? Is that what you're asking me? Or for no standard library? I need to include the compiler. There we go. 32 basic graphics. Actually, Let me think about it, because have you heard about the knowledge problem, where you understand something or you know something and then you think that other people know it as well? And so it just seems trivial to you. I'm trying to remove that from my brain, think about it from a different perspective. Um, hmm. All right, I'll show you something real quick. Here we go. So if we go to this guy's page, D7 Samurai. All right, um he's got a few gists or whatever here that cover simple rendering stuff. Um, so here's like a simple sprite renderer, etc., etc. So let's say extra minimal triangle. All right. So let's say you wanted to draw a triangle. This is like a classic getting set up kind of deal, right? So if we have a look at this, if you want to look at how long the code is, that's the extent of the code. It's pretty compressed. And then this is the shader. So this is the thing that runs on your GPU to draw the triangle. This is the code to set up the window, get the context that you're going to draw into, the DirectX context, and create the frame buffer that you're going to draw onto. So the frame buffer is, I guess, controlled by the context or owned by the context, whatever, etc. So it's not much code, but there's a lot of concepts in here. So there's a swap chain, which you may not know what that is. There is device context, texture 2D. What is that? What's a render target view? What's a blob? Vertex shader, pixel shader, window class. There's a lot of concepts, but once you understand these, well, you can do pretty much all 2D graphics. If you understand, not all 2D graphics. Simple 2D games just require basically this. You to understand this. And then all the other programming problems are going to be different, of course, but for graphics, for simple 2D graphics, basically just understanding these concepts, you can make a lot of 2D style games, which is cool. I think 3D graphics are not just an extra dimension, more complicated. It's way more complicated because suddenly you've got things like depth buffers and lighting. Well, you might have lighting in your 2D game, but let's just assume that you don't for simplicity. Or even 2D lighting is much simpler than 3D lighting. You'll have things like bump maps, normal maps, PBR pipelines. It just gets way more complicated when you do 3D. But yeah, essentially the barrier to entry is I can say it another way. When I learned OpenGL for the first time, I didn't know anything about graphics programming. I went to my local university library and I sat down for for 7 days, like 8 hours each day, going through how to learning OpenGL. And by the end of that, I could draw basic shapes on the screen. So that's sort of the barrier to entry, I think. Not that bad, I would say, all things considered. Now, moving on the screen is another thing, because moving requires, animation, which is updating values over time, which is actually can be very easy, or it can be difficult. A bunch of circles and squares moving could be as simple as, updating a sine wave or something. Or it could be as complex as implementing a physics system with collision detection. Oh, I'm thirsty. I'm talking. I'm procrastinating making my game trailer by streaming. Actually, I want to take a short break from programming because my brain is fried. I want to see if I can get an opinion about this. Alright, so... Hey, my game didn't come up. 1 second. So basically complexity is both technical, how to interface with APIs, how to talk to the GPU, and mathematical / physics, collision detection, gravity, etc. Yes, but you're making it sound pretty overwhelming there, I would say. Well, I don't know if you feel like that's overwhelming, but yes, that's correct. But you don't need to implement everything yourself either. I mean, I know I'm doing that right now, but for example, there are physics libraries that you could use, like Box2D. Oh, excuse me. And animation also, I guess it depends what kind of game you want to make. Like, let me just open my game again. One of the reasons that I decided to make this game, God, debug, is it called game? I can never remember what the exe is called. Alright, one of the reasons I decided to make this game is because it doesn't have any of that stuff you just talked about. It has very subtle animation. So if I... actually, I'm not going to do that one. Let's just look at, this. If you look at these numbers here, when I press play, I'll turn the sound off. You can see that they're sort of animating up. So I'll reset that, I'll play it again. That's the extent of the animation. So the code for that is like, where is it? Anim speed. Okay, so I've got an animation speed, an animation offset, and then the code is literally multiplying that speed by the frame time, which is the delta time, and then setting the value. That's pretty much it. So that's just linear interpolation, whereas you might want to do like cubic ease out. I might do that actually, because it looks nicer when it sort of slows down a little bit at the end. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, you can make different kinds of games with very simple animation. It doesn't have to be a guy running around with physics kind of game, but that's up to you, honestly. I mean, obviously. Yeah, what was I doing? I was going to look at something. Yeah. I'm not using Visual Studio. How can you replicate my lightweight, supposedly, workflow? Yeah, okay. So this editor is called Helix. I think it's quite good. Of course, editor. Here it is. Here's the website. So the thing about Helix is it's like Vim, but it comes with... It's like Vim if it came with a bunch of plugins installed. There's no plugin system for it though. So that's kind of a downside. You can see my config. This is my configuration. There's nothing in here except the theme that I'm using. Right? And the way that it works is, if we go to app data here, where is it? Oh, I don't even have it. So I don't even have the file. There's usually a languages file where you can configure the languages that you're using. But out of the box, it supports, C. I can't even remember what it supports. It supports a bunch of languages out of the box. Where is it? Oh God, I don't want to look at that. Yeah. Right. So here's the language thing. Don't think it tells you. Yeah. Anyway, supports a bunch of languages. You can add custom ones and whatever. But I guess the second important part here is that my build script is just calling the Microsoft compiler to compile this C program. And the ZI means it's in debug mode, so it's going to compile with symbols. And then you want to run your program in a good debugger. So this is the RAD debugger. This is in a good state right now, so I just recommend using this one. You can get it from GitHub. And the other thing that I wanted to look at was this. There we go. All right, is this going to show me what I'm looking for? All right. So this is not strictly programming. This is more game dev related about my own game. Just going to put this over here. Did I install the MS compiler independently? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I used something called... What is it called? It's called Portable... Yeah, Build Tools. Yeah, this thing. Build Tools. No. None of those things. No. Is it called Portable Build Tools? I already searched it. And I clicked on this one. This is the one. I think I used this. Did I? It would be in my downloads. Which hopefully doesn't have anything private. No. Portable Build Tools, yeah. So Portable Build Tools installs the Microsoft toolchain and other stuff. Yeah, compiler, linker, and other tools, header libraries, into a portable folder without installing Visual Studio. So I don't have Visual Studio installed. So if I type Visual here, it's just going to give me this web link that's returning me Chinese for some reason. Yeah, wait, what was that? Oh, that's the store. It also gives you the store link. Yeah. All right, so back to this thing that I was going to talk about. So this is the game. It's going to come out, well, not come out soon. It's going to come out after June, but its demo is going to come out in a couple of days. And I wanted to look at down here. It gives you this cool thing, more like this. So this Farmer Was Replaced game absolutely popped off. Programming game, probably made millions of dollars, which is pretty awesome, pretty inspiring. Barber Is You also popped off as well. I don't know this game. It seems to have done very well. It's a mystery game. But there was a particular one that I wanted to look at. And if the creator ever sees this VOD, I don't want you to think that I'm having a go at you or anything like that. I'm just curious. This one, Quantum Pulse 2A. So I only found this today because I was looking for a trailer for my game. Looking for examples of trailers for similar games. So I just looked in this similar games section and looked at some trailers, and I found this one. And this game looks, well, it doesn't look visually similar, but it's sort of similar. It's like it's obvious we got similar inspiration from TIS 100. You've got the inputs here, the outputs. Although in this game it looks like you drag hang on. You drag these chips onto this circuit board and you program them in assembly. It's actually got more features than I've got. So it's got this plotter. It's got other things. I don't know what this is. RAM. Okay, so this is a RAM board where you can put memory in. So the idea is you drag components onto here and then you solve the puzzles using the components. And you've got cost, so you use less components, then it costs less, etc. It's got like documentation. Actually, I want to show the video because it's quite nice. It looks good, I think. It's got good style, pretty unique style. Everything has nice sound effects. The buttons are clicky, and it's got good animations. Like that looks really good. All right, but what I'm confused about, or what I want to know, is why does this game only have 25 reviews? It's like no one found it. Now there are 2 negative reviews. So what you might see when you look at games is if it doesn't have a positive rating, then you can read the negative reviews to figure out what went wrong. But this is a positive rating, right? 96%. That's good. But it's got such a tiny amount of reviews, it just means nobody played it. Now, why is that? Oh, it might be too pricey. So this is about $12 US. Potentially too pricey. Don't know. How many puzzles are there? Does it say? 25. So 25 puzzles for 12 US dollars. Potentially. Not sure. I have a feeling that people just don't know about this. I only found out about this today. And it's been out for like 5 months. So if you look at the negative reviews here, someone says the system design is too tedious. You saw a guy flexing his success, and then he modestly showed how much better games, according to him, that didn't succeed at all compared to his. Ah, who is that guy? I'd like to see that. I don't know if he can actually be modestly flexing, but yeah. So if we look at the comments here, like this says it has nonsensical rules, like being unable to read from or jump by a node's own channel. Forces you to waste most of your time figuring out no-op instructions. You forgot it's a YouTuber. Okay. That's alright, no problem. This person says it felt easy and awarding. Probably not English first language, based on the name. The farther you go, the more annoying the exercises will be. You feel exhausted and not happy. Can't format your program and insert line breaks, so it becomes easier to read because all the lines should fit on one screen. Okay. You can't write sensible comments because the short line. I'm going to have this problem if people don't like that because I've got a line limit of like 27 characters. You have stickers, but you can't use them. I don't know what that means. If you fail to organize your chips, you'll really struggle to reorganize them. All right. Okay, so there's just some user experience issues, but like honestly, these aren't too bad. I looked at some other games in the genre, and people like really tearing them apart. I think like what was this called? HRD? No, HDR. I can't remember. I gotta look up the I'm sure it was HRD. Anyway, so of course I've looked at the successful games, like all the Zachtronics games, Turing Complete, and others, but that doesn't tell me. That only tells me like these guys made a really good game. It doesn't tell me what I could have done better. So oh, this one, Comet 64. I looked at this one. So this one did well. 176 reviews in 4 years is not horrible. I mean, it's still mostly positive, right? But it's only 75% positive. Um, that's interesting. The Steam's review system is kind of misleading. But anyway, so people in this one were really mean. If you're expecting Zachtronics, look elsewhere. Too easy, and the pseudo assembly leaves little opportunity for creative approaches. Although this person says would rate neutral if I could. I think it's just a strong statement at the beginning. It might be totally correct. I don't know. I haven't played it. Um, this person's save file got broken. That's pretty bad. My solution gave more accurate results than the expected results, so my solution was deemed a failure. I don't know what that means. It's funny, they say I'm returning this, but they never returned it. I'm too stupid to play this game. That's fine. It does not meet the quality of comparable yet cheaper games like TS. Oh, MHRD. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, so this is apparently a quality problem. Also, it's 21.95 Australian. So what's that? 21.95. $14.71. Yeah, interesting. So apparently that's too expensive. Now this one also got ripped apart a little bit, but it's got very positive reviews, so 88%, which is good, and it's got more reviews, but it was released in 2017, so the long tail's not doing too well, I think. I don't know. Game is very short. There's 21 levels. Blah blah blah, etc. Man, this is really. I would love to get this kind of feedback. So detailed. It's great. Bear experience. Okay, so it looks like this game's just not long enough. Apparently, it looks serviceable. I don't really like the That's a feedback, all right. Yeah, I don't like the strict ASCII style. Personally, I think it's a little bit just not my thing. I mean, nothing wrong with liking it or with this game. I don't know, but I prefer a little bit of flair if possible. Now, anyway, the reason I brought this up is because basically I feel like this guy seems like he made a good game, but no one knows about it. Okay, so I think that could be a problem. So I checked him out. I checked him out on Twitter, Dashing Strike. I don't want to open my Twitter because I don't know that people are undressing people on Grok all the time with Grok all the time. So I just don't want to open that on stream right now, and it's going crazy over there. But I will tell you, I checked out his at least his marketing on Twitter, and there was one post where he said he was going to turn his Game Jam game into a real game. It was sort of like an announcement, and then one post saying that I think it was like a progress post, and there was months in between, and then one post on launch, and one post after launch, and there were months in between every single post. So I feel like unless he used other marketing channels, which he very well could have, his Twitter marketing was definitely not consistent or frequent. So that could have been a factor. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Also, I think this name Quantum Pulse and the logo, I mean, I don't know. That doesn't look appealing to me, but then I'm thinking like, oh, what about mine? Which is like, where is it? Ah, it's gone. Was it this tab? No, just gone. Just gone. I gotta open it again. Where is it? Store page. All right, here it is. So I had to make this capsule just to get the Steam page up. I don't think it's going to be final. Yeah, because like when you look at that, I don't know what this is. That's kind of a problem. It has the font that it might be a programming game, I guess. But yeah, don't know. Anyway, that's sort of my end of my rant here. Oh, your message didn't send because it had a link. I wonder if I can change that. I don't know. What does this button do? Oh god. I changed the other screen. Hang on. Moderation none. Yeah, no moderation here. Wait, basic? Hold potentially inappropriate comments. Okay, I'll just change it to none. The logo seems like 3 lanes with 3 black passages. Oh, you can use SteamDB to get a general idea of how the game did? I don't know you could use SteamDB for that. I usually use VG Insights. So if we look up Quantum Pulse, I think the name is also kind of confusing, but I don't know. So what would you be looking at here? Charts. Yeah. Okay, so we've got charts. Yeah, I mean, obviously people aren't playing it, but that sort of makes sense because no one knows about it, I think. 531 followers. What was the conversion from followers to wish list? It's like 1 to 10? Is that right? I need to look it up. Given n followers on Steam, how many wish lists may the game have? Yeah. Yeah, 10x. Yeah. That's interesting. So launched with, or has, don't know if launched with is correct. Um, Usually games follow the splash model where there's a peak and it exponentially goes down. A look at the peak in games for a general comparison. It's not an exact science. Right. So the peak was 20. But 5K wish lists, potentially. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so this is when it came out, I think. Wait. Oh, we can see here, right? The Steam Hub follower history. So, what was the launch date? Does it say here? 26th of August, 2025. So if we go to August, so right. Oh. Oh, that's a bit different. So it launched, let's say it launched with roughly 2,000 wish lists, right? And then people saw it after it launched and they added it to their follow, which I guess they would do because they'd wait for a discount. That's what people do, right? Right. Oh, it says right there, release. Okay. Yeah. So just on release, they could have had 2,000, 3,000 wish lists. Yeah, so my goal is to get to at least 7,000 wishlists before the next fest in June. I don't know if that's possible with a game like this, but I assume so. So if we look at something like, what can I look at? I guess I could look at, I mean, this is, no, this is too advanced. I would love to share my Steam link, but it's not up right now. Yeah, because it's being reviewed by Valve, so it's not actually available. But I'll paste it here. I think it would probably be the same link. But it's not gonna you're not gonna be able to see it though. What other game could I look at? Not The Farmer was replaced. That's way too successful. To just compare it sort of to this one, thinking maybe Comet 64. All right, so it had a demo. This guy didn't make any more games as far as I can tell, unfortunately. So we're going to go down to charts again, and we'll put it on max. The same kind of deal. They had more players at launch, and then we get the drop, which totally makes sense. But if we look at the Steam Hub followers, okay, here we go. Yeah. So I'm going to say they released with about 3,000. And then on release, they got, it looks like, 18,000. And then it's just sort of plateaued. So I think that's what this jump means, right? It means they probably released with about 3,000, and then as it launched, or when it launched, they got these extra ones. I think that's probably what that means. So if we look at this one, it's the same thing here. It started going up on a huge spike. So I'd say they launched with just under 2,000 or around 2,000. So similar. Yeah, the jump is onlookers. Yeah. So it's people who are like, oh, this game came out. Looks kind of okay. I'll add it to my follow list and maybe get it on discount later. That's what I think is happening. Yeah. They're waiting for it to be discounted. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to look at one more. It's kind of hard. I don't think I should use Zachtronics. Because Zachtronics is a known entity. So their new games that come out, people already know who they are. And of course, their new studio, what is it called? I can't remember what it's called, but they made the Kaizen factory story game. Coincidence is the name of their new studio. Or his new studio. I don't know who's in it. But the original Zachtronics team, who I only know Zach, is... yeah. So this one I don't think we should look at because, well, they're very popular. Although this doesn't actually have their name on it, technically. So if we look at it, also has a demo. Launched with 732 concurrent players. So that's significantly more than the other guys. Like an order of magnitude more. And you can see here, on launch, it looks like they had maybe around 20,000 wish lists. And then the same thing happens. On launch, you get that big shoot up of people like waiting for it to go on sale. So that seems to be a consistent pattern. So 20,000 wish lists they launch with. That sounds pretty good. Very positive rating. Yeah, so maybe that does tell us something. It tells us that this pattern is normal. It also tells us that really, I think I need to wait until I get at least, I'm going to say at least 10,000 wish lists before I launch. If I can get 10,000 wish lists. If it's taking too long and I just don't think the game can get there, yeah, then that's not great. 734 divided by 2722 is 27% conversion. It's interesting. It's the same as the other one. I wonder how they get that shoot up during launch. Seems so random. Some games get it, some don't. Oh, do some games not get it? We'd have to look at not free games. What's a game that came out that isn't free? I'm gonna look at Oxygen Not Included. It's my most played game. Let's see. It's pretty old now, so I don't know if we're even gonna be able to. Oh no, it's just I can't look at it. Doesn't. Yeah, it's too old. Need something from like this year. What came out this year? Last year. Not really exact science, just something to compare marketing conversion numbers just to help confidence for finding the best bang for your buck method. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's just good to look at this kind of stuff because I don't want to. They may have been in Concord. That doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all. Did I buy any games last year? There was a new Civilization game, right? Civilization 7. Let's look at that. That's got to be like this is like a mega huge game. It looks like it was already going up at this same kind of rate. That's interesting. Yeah. But everyone would have already known about this, right? Because it's like a mega hit or a potential mega hit game. It's just super popular franchise. What about indie games? What indie games came out? Let's look at Animal Well. What happened with that one? Same thing. Look at that. Okay. So they had looks like launched with about 100,000 wish lists, maybe just under. I think he said that in an interview. And then bam, that shoots up really steep as everyone found out about it. Interesting. Although they had Donkey as a publisher. Um, who made this game? Was it Billy Basso? Yeah. Look up games that allow modding, map making, game hosting, like Team Fortress 2. I could, but what's that going to tell me about this situation? Just the difference? The Viking game, Valheim. Oh, same thing. Bam. Whoa. That went mega viral. Damn, look at that. They launched with about 150K, 100 or 150K, and then, jeez, like 5 million wish lists. Some of your messages don't get sent. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what to do about that. I turned off the moderation. There was like some auto mod thing. I turned it off. Yeah, alright. Well, that's probably enough for that. Nothing I can do except try to make the best game that I can. Try to make it appealing. Probably need to hire an artist to do the capsule. But I might hire an artist that doesn't do specifically capsule art, because I don't know if you guys have heard, but the capsule art industry is like exploding. So people are charging like $1,000 US or more for a capsule, just because of the demand. It's kind of interesting. But if you hire someone who's not like in that space to make these specifically sized images, and just don't say that it's a capsule. Well, is that dishonest? I should think about that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So back to programming. All right, Miles. Have a good sleep. Catch you later. Meh. Oh God. There we go. All right, here we go again. I might actually go soon as well. I'll see if I can get. Yeah, I got a buffer. Yeah, we'll just try to finish this off. Get a something rendering on the screen first. So I'm going to go in order here. Vertex shader. I'll just call it by the same name. Yeah, it's interesting how with HLSL you can combine the shaders into one file, and then you pass in the function name here. So that's what VS main is, vertex shader main. So device, create vertex shader device. We need to pass in get buffer pointer. This is going to be a really long line. Get buffer size. And what's the last thing? Oh, there's more. Class linkage, which we'll say is null. And a vertex shader pointer. Yeah. That's where it's going to be created. All right. That's nice. What's wrong with this? Too few arguments. Huh. Oh, yeah. All right. So we'll have to grab the gpu.hlsl from here. Where do I want to put it? I don't know if this is going to be local to the directory or not. Okay, that should be fine, hopefully. Okay, so vertex shader created, and now we've got to map the attributes, or input elements as they're called in DirectX, I guess. Position and color. Okay, easy. So R32, G32. Oh, that's right. So R32, G32 means a vec2, so 2 channels, X and Y in this case. Position. D311 input per vertex. Yeah. Per vertex data. So it's going to be 1 position per vertex. Makes sense. And then color is, looks like red, green, blue, no alpha. So no alpha support right now. And they're going to be packed together, but aligned, looks like. All right. My arm hurts. I had to go to physio today. So I was at the gym and I injured myself. And yeah, it turns out my posture is totally messed up, which I guess is not surprising. So I'll be doing physio for a while. Oh, and I really should stretch every 2 hours, which I haven't done. I'll do that in a second. Hey, what's wrong with this? Ah, there we go. Yeah, vertex shader CSO, gotta pass that in. And finally, input layout. There we go. Array rise, another thing. All right. Okay. I'm going to go and stretch. Well, I'm going to stretch like right here. I really should have put my table up. So this is actually a standing desk, but I didn't plug it in. Yeah, that's not good. All right, time to stretch. So I've got to do like this and then rotate as far as I can, which is not very far apparently. You should be able to get your shoulder under your chin, but I totally can't do that. Just crazy. Yeah. Anyway, I'm a fitness influencer now. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. It's that side. This side's a bit better, but still not good. If any of you guys are young and using the computer a lot, you should learn how to stretch. Because I waited too long and I've got like constant pain in my shoulder, constant pain in my elbow, constant pain in my wrist, constant pain in my neck, and kind of get And I'm only 35. So, not good. What was the other thing I was supposed to do? Oh, yeah. All right. The other one I can sit down for is chin tucks. Ah, my neck. Son of a bitch. You know, my headphones have been playing nothing this whole time. They just have the noise cancelling sound on. All right. Okay. Definitely need to do that more. Feels a little bit better. I'm still in a lot of pain though. Man. All right. Oh, we just did that. So apparently this should make a vertex shader. So why don't we compile this? I don't have my config set up, so I want to do like editor dot normal, or is it key? Oh, I can never remember. But luckily the thing's open here. Key remapping. Keys. Dot normal. That's not an S. Alt M equals run shell command build. Oops. Okay, now reload configuration, Alt M. Okay, cool. Now I can just press that to build. All right, let's run this. Now we should have an input layout. Seems like I got created successfully. And a vertex shader, yeah. And is there anything in the debug output? What is this? The system cannot find a file specified. What file? Okay. I don't know if that's a problem. Okay. Let's see. We're close. We're close. So this is the vertex. I'll just put vertex shader here. Fragment shader or pixel shader, whatever you want to call it. I guess we'll call it a pixel shader. So I think a ID3D blob, by the way, is just a binary data. A blob of binary data. GPU. Oh, I can just copy this because it's exactly the same. Except this is going to be PS main, I assume. Yep. And it's going to be PS50 and pixel instead of vertex. There we go. Just going to double check it because you know when you copy and paste code and you miss one of the parameters and it takes you like a million years. Well, it takes me like a million years to figure out that was the problem because usually it doesn't cause an immediate effect and then it's like some downstream error that seems really difficult to debug, and it was just because you copied and pasted a function call or something and forgot to set one of the parameters. Device. Okay, look, honestly, I'm going to copy and paste this. Vertex, ooh. Vertex, change to pixel. Change this to pixel. Delete that. Wait. Yeah. And just double check this. Looks okay. Get buffer pointer. Yeah. Is that right? I think so. And the rasterizer. So we're going to fill with a solid color. Do no culling because it's 2D. That's fine. And do 3D11 rasterizer state. Alright, looks good. Now the viewport can be set up. Did I do viewport before? I did. So I'm going to move this down there. Just so it lines up. Okay, now there's a constants buffer here for the color. What is this for? All right. It's, is that? Yeah, screen coordinate instead of projection matrix. Gotcha. So pre-calculate for screen coordinates. Okay. So this would be 2 divided by swap chain description, which I've called SD, buffer desktop width, and then -2. I assume that's because the flipping on the y-axis. Okay. What the hell? It's not just going to be 0. 0xf and this. What? Must be multiple of 16. Oh, precedence. It's this. Right. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking that it was like this, which doesn't make any sense. I forgot about the precedence in C. So always use more parentheses than you need, I say. Just in case. What was that? My phone. Yeah, whatever. So immutable, the data is never going to change. Oh, there's already a comment there. Thank you. bind flags. So it's a constant buffer. Yeah. So a sub resource. This is how we're gonna update it, I guess. Tinnitus, man, tinnitus, aches and pains, getting old. All right, arbitrary vertex limit, that's fine. Suppose we'll just copy this verbatim. I have to type def this because it is C, not C++. And this is XYRB. Oh yeah. There's no A. Yeah. This could also just be one of those. But anyway, a five component array of floats. Alright. So vertex buffer, here we go. Almost there. So we're gonna make space for all of the vertices. So which means the GPU is going to be using 1024 times 5 floats, no matter how many things are drawn. That's fine. Updated every frame. It looks like it's finally going to rain. That's good. It was 43 degrees yesterday in Celsius. So I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. No idea. It's very hot though. It's like desert hot. Not as hot as Saudi Arabia gets. They get up to like 50 degrees. How many times have I done that? Not adhered to my new style. Oops, I did it just once. Recently. Okay, vertex buffer. Finally, we can create the vertex buffer. Cool. We need the stride. Sure. Alright. So, just made a bunch of resources on the GPU. Let's just compile that and see if we can run it up to the start of the loop. Get rid of that. Around here. Alright, looks like it didn't fail outright. Looks like we made a vertex buffer. And 2480 is 5 times All right. No. Oh yeah, times 4. 5 times 4 times 124. Yeah. Constant buffer looks good. All right. Looks good so far. Just a little bit more implementation, and we might have something rendering on the screen, which would be good. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're mapping the vertex buffer so we can write to it, and then we are setting the data and then unmapping it. That makes sense. Probably don't need to do that every frame, but we'll just do it exactly as he's written it here. Okay, device context, map. The vertex buffer, sub resource 0, map write discard. So I guess that means we're going to write it and then discard it. What are the other options? Read write, write discard, write no overwrite, and flag do not wait. Okay. I wonder what the difference between write and write discard is. What's wrong with this? I missed something. Okay, so baiting the Lisp programmers. Yeah, that's funny. I don't know why there's so many parentheses. Someone just said, bro, see how many parentheses bro can put in the next title, so I added more. So returns a H result, takes context, resource, uint, map uint, mapped sub-resource. I probably need to cast this to id3d11 resource pointer. I need to add another pair every time somebody asks about them. Yeah, maybe. Thank you. Thanks very much. I think this... Oh, I put 3 Fs. Oh, that was easy. Alright, now... I'm going to create a vertex... Oh no, we're going to create a pointer to the data that we just mapped. Vertex buffer msr.p data. Then I'm just going to set the data directly in here. I'll just copy these values. 100. What's wrong with this? There's no type. I need to add that and 1, 2, and this can be 200, 250, 200. Red, green, and blue. Okay, got it. So that's going to give us red, green, and blue triangle. Then we can unmap. Oops, device context. And we want to unmap the vertex buffer. Sub-resource 0, but we need to cast it to id3d11 resource. Great. Now we get to the part where we can actually draw it. So set the primitive topology to triangles, or triangle list more specifically. That makes sense. What is IA? I don't know if I'm going to find out in this file. Probably not. Because usually you would set that on the render pass, I think. Primitive topology triangle list. But I need to pass in device context. Okay. So this one's going to be set input layout. And here we're telling it how the data is laid out. That makes sense. Okay, set the current shader. Set the constant buffers. There's just one of them. And it's this one. Needs to be what? ID311 buffer needs to be constant pointer. No. That's confusing. Anyway. Haven't spent enough time in C recently. Set viewports, we already got that one. Hi, is that Jean? Jian? Jian Xinhu? Sorry, not good at Chinese pronunciation. I use Rad Debugger, which is this tool here. I'll show it to you in just a second. I know the X sound, the X, I think, is either SH for us, sh, or j, depending on if it's a man or a woman, if I remember correctly. I used to work with a guy named Xiao, and then he always got called Jiao, and it was funny. Well, it was funny for me. It wasn't really funny for him. Okay, good. Now we need to draw. Alright, so we should be able to draw one triangle if everything went well, but usually it doesn't go well, even just copying code. Oops, I need to turn that off. Oh, yep. Got an access violation. Where are we? Here. Oh, this is wrong. Apparently. Let's take a look here. set constant buffers. Struct ID311 buffer. Yeah, that's the wrong thing. That's why. This is supposed to be constant buffer, not the actual constants. Hey, would you look at that? We got a triangle on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. Awesome. Now let's see if we can make it do something. Yeah, I can't remember the API for Windows stuff, so I'm gonna have to look it up. But there should be something about time. Yeah, just search. Just do the search. Search for time. Doesn't want to. Alright, you're not allowed to just search for things. You have to use this thing. Oh, here we go. Search for time. Okay. Wait for single objects. Sign tool. Get tick count. What am I thinking of? Oh, there's time functions. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I guess. Maybe I do want get tick count. I mean, that should work. The number of milliseconds that have elapsed since the system was started. And this is going to give us it in... Oh, here we go. That's exactly what I wanted. A linear interpolation. Okay, that's great. So if we had something like that in this loop here, we could do current time equals get tick count. What is this m underscore start time? This is their... Okay, start time is 0, which I haven't declared yet. Then start time equals current time. Then we can say 2 times current time minus start time mod 20,000. That's 20 seconds divided by 20,000. And if t is greater than 1, what? Alright, that's fine. Alright, there we go. Apparently this is invalid because I'm modding a float. And an int. Oh yeah, this has got to be a D word. Alright, so now we've got this t value, which is going to go up and down. Or is it just... Yeah, up and down every 20 seconds. And so we can just do like t times... Yeah, just t times 100 on this. And then we should get a wiggly triangle. Oh, look at that. It's a wiggly triangle. It's a bit slow. Maybe we should make it faster. So instead of 20 seconds, we can do like 2 seconds. And we can also add it to different vertices, maybe given this color. Oh my lord, it looks like it's rotating in 3D space. Amazing. All right, cool. I think that's a good place to call it, guys. I have to make dinner. It's 8 p.m. And I also have to make that trailer that I was putting off. So, yeah. I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. So, I wish you all the best and thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, put them below. I am reading the comments on the live streams that I'm doing now. I'm not really reading the comments on the old videos because they're asking me questions about code that I wrote like 3 or 4 years ago. And I honestly can't remember anything about them. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I don't really have anything else to add to a lot of those videos at the moment. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and wish you all the best. See you next time.